What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to a full brand new edition of Famine Studios. Welcome. I am your host, Famine. We are going to be doing some unboxing, taking things that were in the mailbox and unboxing them. It's been a day. Did a little bit of running around. I figured while we wait for people to shuffle in, I'd show you guys what I got today while I was at Joann's. I had to make a pit stop because I needed some black paint, because as you guys see, I've been filling things into the back with black. Needed to happen, so got this going on here. But like today, I finished out about half of one of these. I even watered it down some, so we'll say closer to like 2/3 of this gone. One of these gone. So needed to restock on the Apple Barrel Black because it's a great base primer for a lot of what I do. Pick that up. Then I guess candy making and cake pops are again starting to be a huge thing, big enough to have their own aisle at Joann. So I picked up this tray of like what are supposed to be little weird Hershey bars, but they look like sci-fi like container type things to me. So I will be molding some of these and try some different things on there. But I think those could be great greeblies for like wall panels, ceiling attachments, things like that. And it's silicone, so we can fill it up with, really whatever we want and pop it right out. I also picked up this fondant mold. It's apparently 4 pieces. It's a hexagonal glass, basically. That's what I'm going to be using it for. So that was a couple of bucks. And then I took a trip through the aisle. You guys know the craft paper aisle for like the ladies and gentlemen that do the crafting books and things like that, grandmas and grandpas and all that, everybody in between that likes doing it. I saw this dragon skin looking like copper sheet. That's going to make some really cool roof tiles. And especially once I, patina it up. But like, it was $1, right? I could get probably, if I do facades for 4 roofs off of that. So let me throw some people in the chat real quick, right up on the main screen. Let's see. We got Bjorn, who was in-house tonight. What up? Anthony, how's it going? Looks like the mod squad is here. 3.75, one of my patrons. Hello. Thank you so much. It's going. I like the Woody. Hey, howdy, hey. Bjorn says, gonna get those molds. Red, welcome. And the hex glass was right next to the cake stuff. It's a fondant mold. Apparently you make fondant, however it's said. Whichever way you say it is the right way, and I'm saying it the wrong way. And you press it into there, and you peel it off, and it's got a mold. But like, there's 4 pieces in here. That's going to be some cool sci-fi window mold. Especially since somebody in our community may or may not be making windows that will be available for people at a really reasonable price. Not saying that their store is linked in down below in the description. I'm not saying that right now. I'm not saying that they're on the store, because they're not. But if they were, they might be linked in that store. Speaking of links in stores, because I am never one to miss shameless self-promotion, the store was Joann's. I got in the mail today Rusty Jackalope Company magnets. Threw a couple on my fridge. They're great. They were very inexpensive. Little magnet of the Rusty Jackalope Provisions Company. I thought that was neat. And those are available. Link to the store is down below. So you guys can pick those up. I get a little bit of the percentage. I don't make a lot of money on them, but I think it's really cool that there's a design that I conceptualized and that Grime City put together for me, and now gets sold through that sweet record shop over here. That sweet link down below. It's been a day. What you doing, buddy? Getting some water? Mr. Stark's not feeling well. I think he's probably still all nervy and worked up. His mom had to go to the vets today for a follow-up appointment, and when mom goes away, the boys get all antsy. So, is what it is. Not a problem. So I figured we'd do the show and tell part of the show first, and then we'll do the painting next. So let's get started with that, if everybody's cool with that. Before we get started, make sure you click on the link below. Go ahead and fill up my Patreon this month. There we go. That. Again, huge thanks to you guys. You make this possible. You make these lives that are becoming more frequent a lot more easier to do. Helps take care of things. Web hosting, StreamYard, all that stuff. There's going to be a website coming. I'm very slow at learning website design. It's no longer, I'm sure it is. I'm sure I could like go and find, but it's no longer like HTML where I could just go and toss a website together. You good, buddy? You good? He's just sitting there. I could go and you want to come say hello to everybody, Stark? Come here, Stark. Yeah, good boy. Come here. Good boy. Here, I'll pick you up so you don't have to jump. Oh, there he is. You know, like I'm sure that I could run out and do HTML to do a site, but I'm learning. I'm doing up some of my own graphics, so there will be a website coming, which is going to be a place to contain a lot of the lore. You're going to get to see a more cohesive look at the lore, because going back and watching the videos, while it helps me, I'm sure it gets kind of like, you know, tedious to go back. So a place where all the lore is combined is helpful. Let's see. We got comments, yeah? Wait a few to show off the toys. Audio is under water for a second. $3.75. Let's see here. I love Motionless. Kenny got me into them. I really like their current stuff. Like their live shows are some of the best I've seen. We went to the Trinity of Terror tour and the latest tour. We went to 2 of the Trinity of Terrors, and then the newest one that we went to. Really great shows, really good band. I like them a lot. And yeah, a lot of gimmick lore. You feeling better, handsome sir? You feeling better? You got some water and a little something gentle in your tummy? He's a good boy. He's like, I just want to stare at the wall, please. Yeah. Ozfest. Now, here's my question. Let's go back to this for a second before we jump on. We're going to talk music. Ozfest meets Knotfest. Was that like a thing? Or was it just happened to be 2 shows in the similar area or something? Maybe I'm like Ozfest stopped being a thing to me when it was, man, I want to say like 2008 when it like died down or something like that. I feel like. Oh, honey, you're a good boy. Good boy. Want to go lay down on the pillow? You love that pillow. Here, I'll let you down. Careful. Good boy. Dating yourself. The best live show is Tool. Seen them 4 times. Fuck. Best live show I've seen. You're gonna laugh because it's not that I still listen to them from time to time, but Coldplay put on the best show that I've seen, the best live show that I've ever seen. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna blow my nose. This warm, cold weather is lovely. But I saw Coldplay. That is a funny joke. I saw Coldplay perform a makeup show at SPAC. It was, I want to say 2006 or 7. SPAC is the Saratoga Performing Arts Center. It's this big outdoor venue. They built a stage into the crowd, the lawn seats. There's amphitheater seats and then there's lawn seats. They built an additional stage. So where we were was general admission lawn seats. We watched them perform because it was a makeup show. Chris Martin got laryngitis, was unable to perform. They came back. They played a full 2-hour set. And then for like the second half of the show was right after Michael Jackson died. So we're talking like 3 or 4 days after he died. They came and did a 3-set Michael Jackson medley, 3-song Michael Jackson medley, right there at the, like, where we were sitting. So we got to look up and watch Coldplay play Michael Jackson songs and then play a couple of their own songs. And it was really cool. It was right after Viva La Vida had come out, so they were like really like doing stadium shows and big stuff. And it was just phenomenal. The confetti cannons were actually paper butterflies, and between the lights and the, you know, how confetti works, it looked like there were just thousands upon thousands of colorful butterflies flying around. When they played Yellow, they released like 80 or 90 of these giant, I'm talking like as big as my room, gold, yellow balloons. And as they bounced around and people were bouncing them, they pop, and then there was like 30 more balloons inside, and they keep popping and confetti would come out more. It was really crazy and fun. Really great show. They put on a fantastic one. As far as the like most enjoyable modern show that I've been to that's held my attention the entire way through, had to be like going to see Motionless in White and then catching Ice Nine Kills right after them. Motionless, really enjoy their stuff. Ice Nine Kills, all their stuff is largely inspired by horror movies and things, so their entire stage presence is horror movies and reenacting things from movies, and good shit. Guar, I'd have to get a balcony seat at Guar, have some clothes I could dispose of, a mask to hide my identity so nobody sees that I'm there. I don't want to go home covered in fake how do we want to word this? Fake fluids from the show. I've seen how Guar shows go, and yeah, I feel like I would be covered in, I don't know, not for me. You should learn what I'm saying. Seether once. I haven't seen Seether. I would see Seether. Nothing against them. I like quite a few of their songs, actually. They were really popular when they were really popular right after I was out of high school. Bile was fucking harsh. All the fluids. Yeah. No, I would be damp. I'd look like I just visited, you know, like I'd visited the wrong glory hole at the right time, or the right glory hole at the wrong time. Take your pick. Not for me. Love the costumes. Think they're phenomenal. I know somebody who used to work on their costumes for them and help them build with their bigger builds. Their stage production is fantastic. Really top notch. It's just not for me, but kudos to them. Kudos for them for getting up there and performing in that gear nonstop. What they've done for the LGBTQ community, what they've done for rock music, for metal, just performances, bringing crowds together, crazy stuff that they get away with. Like, kudos to them. So we're going to get started on the toy stuff. This one we're going to open up is from Aegis Station. Down below in my profile there, in my profile, that's in the box below. Can you tell? It's been that kind of day. Down there, you can go ahead and you can click on that, and it'll link you to his store. He has stuff up right now. These guys are great. They are on sale. I believe this is the set that I ordered. It is the set that I ordered. I ordered the bubblegum pink ooze plasms, and these are going to get a custom treatment here at Gimmick. But look how this white light is brutal. Look how pink and gross they are. They look like little flesh piles, and I am going to make them look even worse like little flesh piles. He's got the little pink ones. He's got them. My hands don't want to work. He's got the neon green ones. He's got the blue. He's got the titanium ones. I need to order a couple of those. This is one of the, I believe this is Baja Blast Blue. But he's got these guys. They're freaking awesome. Creepy little buggers. Their lifeless eyes just sit there and stare at you and judge you. And I am so excited for those. All right. Alphabet Mafia. Absolutely. Oozeplasms. Yeah, it does. It looks like, little Krang without the arms, but I'm going to give these guys a wash in. Had it picked out and set aside with Peachy Flesh. And it's a pink flesh wash from Speed Paint, from Army Painters, from that line. And I think it's going to make these little bastards look absolutely gross, which is what I want. I'm excited. So I have an infestation of oozeplasms all over the damn place. There. And they're like, let's be real. They've got just enough weight to them. They are solid little prints. They're good. They're freaking creepy. And look at that. They're selling like hotcakes. 4 previously and another different 4 today. Hell yeah. And I don't feel bad, and that's not I just throw them, but I don't feel bad of like just setting them down somewhere or like dropping them somewhere because they're that strong and that well printed together. So be sure to go pick those up. Yeah, Bjorn, the link is in the description, and also you drop the link in the chat. So there you go. Tar, what's going on? We're showing off some pickups that I got in the mail today. They do taste horrible. They taste like blood and 3D printed plastic. Haven't figured that out yet. So let's go ahead and show off. We'll do this one next. Another community member, Dom from Toy Domination. His book. It's freaking light. So bright. We're gonna do this. There we go. His book, Tungsten Spider. It's available on Amazon. There's a link down in my description. It is an affiliate link. Doesn't take any money away from him, and I am shameless. But it will direct you right to there to pick up your paperback copy. I'm excited to read this. Want to support a friend of ours in the community, and it's freaking dope. Like, I know Dom knows his military stuff. He knows his world building. Very excited for this. Cannot wait to sit and read this one. Super excited, so be sure to check that out. Great price on it. Amazon runs sales. You can pick up your copy right now. Highly recommend getting that, and it's a great way to support somebody in the community. They also have a Toy Domination store for shirts. You can pick up no-brainer shirts, Toy Domination shirts, stickers, the like. But great way to support. Can't wait to find out what happens to the 22nd. It's a group in the book. Very excited. Guy knows his stuff. Can't wait to sit down and read that. So we're gonna put that aside here, because I will start reading from it if you guys let me, so I won't. Something has a mildew scent in. What is it that has the mildew scent? Kills does kill. If it's got a mildew scent, it's probably got mold somewhere on it or in it. If it's plastic, scrub it with warm soapy water. Let it dry. Let it dry out in the sun. Scrub it again. Let it dry out in the sun. Maybe drop 1 or 2 drops of Clorox bleach or whatever type of bleach, unscented bleach, in the water while you're cleaning it to try and kill off that mold. But again, if it's like clothing or soft goods material, 86 it. You don't want that stuff around. Rolled up fabric blind. It's probably impregnated with mold spores at the very least. I would pitch it. That's personal call. I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their stuff, but I would personally pitch it. So we're going to go ahead and pull open this box. Now, this box comes to us not from a member of the community. This is actually, I got turned on by Dom from Toy Domination about these guys being on sale. And I went ahead and picked this up. So let's see. I had never ordered from this place before, so I'm super excited. And holy crap. All right, so ooh-wee. Ordered up a set of these guys here. Been eyeballing one of these. They were on sale for $20. Could not pass that up. Let's see, we got a bag with 3 helmets inside. We've got the bonus figure that comes with this set. Oh, I see how this works. Okay, so it fits in the box. The bonus female figure for the Battle of the Stars line. She came with this set. The 4-pack of figures with her was cheaper than the 3-pack of just the guys. Just so anybody who decides to order these is aware. But they've got these exosuits, which I am in love with that. Huge fan of the movie Elysium with Matt Damon. And I love the exosuit. And I was going to have to use styrene to craft an exosuit for a custom Matt Damon figure from Elysium. But I'm going to totally cheat and use some of these pieces. But hell yeah, 4 figures. And they included extra helmets. I'm not quite sure what that's about because there are helmets in the box. So I'm guessing that they're different. We'll take a look. They were in a separate little baggie. Maybe that's something that they threw in as a bonus. Let me just rummage. Make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, here we go. Attention collectors. Some rare case, the articulation of your 1/18 scale may attempt to be stuck. If you attempt to force the articulation, the joint will probably break. The joint can be freed by working order by dipping it in hot water or briefly applying warm air from a hairdryer and then moving the joint. So these are from Small Joe's. That's awesome that they take the time. They absolutely go ahead and let you know. So that's super cool. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything else here. Very cool. All right, so like I said, that came from Small Joe's. Let's take a look at the actual pile of loot here. We've got... Yeah, this is cool. This is Grace Anna in the company of Ether. She reminds me, with the armor, kind of reminds me of Live, Die, Kill. Or All You Need Is Kill. What was the other name that they gave this freaking movie? They could not pick. Live, Die, Repeat, right? So, reminds me of Live, Die, Repeat. But yeah, the set with her was cheaper than the set with just the guys alone. Obviously, I'm going to get more figures to go ahead. But looks like it comes with rifles, comes with a drone, comes with helmets, comes with troopers. And the set of helmets, which I got here, looks like there was an additional set that they included, or maybe that's a freebie again. Not sure. And yeah, I'm going to open this one up right now. I'm not going to open up the people just because it's going to be all over the place and I want to be painting over here in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to set these guys aside. But I do want to open up this little robot if you guys will amuse me. Hey, I appreciate that. And yeah, obviously don't break the bank. There is a free tier over on Patreon if you'd like to sign up. I do post things and post updates there when I can for my patrons. Basically, I look the free tier like this. I'm going to post some of this stuff on Instagram, but sometimes it doesn't get seen. If I post it on Patreon, where it's a free platform in that free category, I know everybody who's a member will get an alert in their email, and they will also see it when they log in. They'll be able to look at it. They'll get to see what I want to put out there as a maker, whereas if I put it on Instagram, there's a chance you won't see it unless I send it directly to you, or you happen to scroll by it 3 days later because of whatever Instagram does with their thing. But check that out. Attack support robot, firepower type. Yeah, if I start playing with this right now, we'll never get anything done. So I'm going to set those aside as much as I'd like to. As much as I'd like to, if I don't set it aside, I will absolutely wind up going ahead and playing with that the entire stream instead of doing what I wanted to do today, which is get some paint on these guys. So let's get this set up here. But that's really freaking cool. And yes, again, I appreciate that, Red. If you do support the channel, that's awesome. You are very well supporting me with my live streams. You like, you share, you tell people about it. That's always a great way to support me. We are pushing. March should be when I get monetized on YouTube. Nothing will change for you guys because you guys still either get the ads or don't, depending. But they will give me a kickback. And then also they unlock the feature for me where people can send like, $1.99 comments on live streams and stuff like they do on Toy Domination. Basically, I'll carry over the Patreon setup to YouTube so that you can subscribe through there as well. It just opens up a lot more opportunity for me. A little bit more income makes making these more for me worth the time to carve out of my day to do it. Not that you guys aren't worth my time, but you get what I'm saying. Like it's a way for me to make funds and also create these things for you guys. And the videos are the products, whereas this stuff is the product for me. Like the things that I'm making are for me. I can't send those to you, but if I could teach you guys, provide entertaining content, make entertaining videos, that's what's up. Drown them. You've seen my video. You've seen my video. I will upside down in a cup of water. I will tell them that it's time to give me the answers. I will ask them what happened on December 4th. Nope, mission report. December 4th. 1991. Anyway, I'll turn it upside down. Acid Rain, your own robot mech types. I saw the barrel dudes. Those are brilliant. Like when I make toys, spoiler alert, eventually I'd love to design some toys that you guys can print at home. I don't know if I'll ever go into production like somebody like, Knights of the Slice or anything like that, Toy Pizza, but I'm certainly long-term goal is to make a product that you guys can print at home, because I do think as the world changes, as market changes, as supply lines change, I think 3D printing your own toys is going to become way bigger than it is now, because 3D printers are like an appliance these days. I think more and more people are going to have them. I digress. Those little barrel bots that Acid Rain has coming out, I think are fantastic. Could you imagine you're a soldier, you're waiting on your supply line, you hear the truck pull up, boom, you hear the other troops fall out, they fan out, they're providing new and improved fire support for you guys. You're getting your relief. They unhook the back of the truck, and then you hear just barrel, boom, 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 hit the ground, and then you hear that mechanical whir, and then you just see 4 or 5 of these things just go right past you, and then you hear the screams of the enemy on the other side. They are no longer firing at you. They are firing at these robots that are trying to stop you, and your support has come. It wipes out the entire team. And then on a recall back, they come back, turn into barrels, load them up on the truck. You guys get pulled out. Scary, cool science fiction. Probably closer to science future if I'm being honest, but damn freaking cool. So got that out of the way. All right. And which ones did you get? Tell us which ones you got. The camels? Were they the camels? So, last stream that we worked on this was actually probably a cryptid stream. I went ahead and Mod Podged this while I talked with you guys. It is Mod Podged up. Wow, that was a mouthful. They have been Mod Podged, and it is ready to accept paint. So let's get some black paint on this thing. We'll get everything covered up that we can, and then we'll start blocking in colors. That's how I like to do my painting. You guys who are not new here, who have been to this channel multiple times, you guys know I like to block in my colors. And then once that's taken place, then I start to do the details. Before I block in, I'm going to let these other two dogs out. Now that Stark's tummy has calmed down. Yes. You guys can play with Mr. Dog. I can. So yelling. Yeah. You could be mad at me all you want. Stop stealing my beads. Stop hitting my table. So let's get some black on there. We'll do that as a primer. As always, they're folded up into cubes. Oh, the spiders with the lockers on top, I think they might be. Okay. Brand new thing of black. Does anybody have anything that they've got coming out as far as toys or, you know, products for world building for the community that they might like to see? Please drop it in the chat, or at least tell us about it, what you got coming down the line. Because apparently you can go back and watch the live chats while you watch the replay of the stream. And I know some people do that. So getting the word out there about your stuff in my chat, I'm giving you permission. Go crazy. Good job, buddy. Okay. Hey, Hicks, what's happening? Thank you for joining us. Happy to be watching. Happy to have you here to watch, man. We are getting ready to put on some... Yeah. Some black primer. I meant to sit down and clean these paintbrushes today, and then I got to talking, and then I took a nap. So we're moving a little bit slower on that, but let's do the thing. So, Rosie, you can lay down up there. It's fine. Catman, what you doing, buddy? Stark. These dogs are a chaotic bunch today. So, like I said, we're just going to get some primer on here, make our lives easier when we start to paint this. I like to prime in black. I like to prime with the least expensive acrylic paint as I can. It's partially because I'm cheap, let's be honest. The other part is that it does a good job, right? It gets into all the cracks and crevices, and it does the job. It's inexpensive, and like I said, I am a member of the Apple Barrel and Plaid community. So I do like to share when I do use their stuff. There are certain things that I do not use their paint for, but there are other things that I do use them for. Meg is probably glad that she's got legs finally. You know, it was a concern for a while there when she was just walking around in her hand. I'm kidding. But yeah, you're really like good at that, and I'm gonna have to just sit down and pick your brain and meditate on the stuff that you do, and then my cosplayer / creator's audacity will kick in, and I'll just decide that I can do that and then try and do it. It's a blessing and a curse, because most things that I do that are bizarre and I do them, it's just because I like look at it and I'm like, yeah, I could totally do that right now. Sir, don't touch that. Two versions of the flea. There we go. So you got two versions of the flea coming. That's awesome. And you got a good deal on them, you said, which is even more awesome. Love that for you. As you guys know, I am a slut for savings. That pickup at... Sir, packing peanuts are not for Cowman. Dogs. So I'm a slut for savings. That whole pickup there was like right around $10. I think I went a little bit over, but I had the app. Again, I cannot stress the Joann app enough. You get all sorts of deals. They usually have a coupon that's at least for 40% off one in-store, 40% off a full-priced item. If not, they have, 50% off full-priced item or 50% off your entire purchase, those types of things, including clearance items, and I shop clearance, and I buy things as cheaply as I can because, as you guys know, I am a little slut for savings. So if you are in the craft market and you buy those things, Joann's app is actually a really good money-saving app, and you do earn credits, which you can turn into coupons for prices off. But yeah, like me and my girlfriend, when we come out of there, we look at the receipt and just look at the savings we have or have made. Dude, are you sure they didn't fall off the back of a truck? I'm not judging if they did. Push the limits. Yeah, no, it's a stupid thing that I have, right? When I was cosplaying, there was a very long time in my life as an artist and a maker where I would look at something and be like, man, sure wish I could do that. Or that looks hard. One day I'll try that. And then, which project was it? It was watching Cosplay Chris. He made a Nerf gun for Alec Gillies. Alec Gillies, worked with Stan Winston Studios. He had his own company for the longest time. Now he's got a new production company, Gillies Studio, and he came to the United States. Basically, showed up on vacation, asked to get a tour of the place because he was a cosplayer that was here on vacation. Shot his shot. They gave him a tour. Well, while he was here on vacation, Alec reached out to him because he saw, number one, how many YouTube followers that Chris had, but also the level of detail that Chris could do. He reached out and said, hey, while you're in LA, come to our studio and you can help me work on a personal project. It's not a, production film or anything, but I need the work done. You're here. You want to learn. Here's an opportunity. Show us what you got. So Chris goes there and he works on these guns for a little sci-fi project that Alec is working on. And Chris came back to Australia, where he's from. He makes a video on how to do that. And I looked at it and went, I could do that. So I just did it. Right. I went and picked those up, picked up the Nerf gun, picked up the PVC, and did it. And then just from there, I was like, wait a minute, I can do this shit. Why am I so I don't know if I was in my own head or if I was just convinced the work was a little bit harder for me. I used to airbrush. And for the longest time, I wouldn't pick up an airbrush. For whatever reason, I was just like, that's going to be complex when I used to do it. And then one day, my best friend and his wife, for Christmas, they sent me a Iowata airbrush set and a patch generator and said, Merry Christmas, keep making artwork. And so I started to airbrush again and realized I can airbrush, right? I think I can do this. It's pretty simple and it's paint. And then just from there, I got this kind of audacity. I call it an audacity where it's like I see something and I'm like, no, I can make that. I can do that. And so it's just been that way ever since. I'll look at something and be like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I can do that. I think I've got this figured out, and I'll just sit there and do it and fuss with it and, fine tune until I figure it out and get it the best way possible. Is that a good thing? I don't know. It's not a bad thing. It's never hurt me or anything. I haven't made an ass out of myself, which I'm sure one day I will. But until that happens, pretty much I'm just like, I can do that. 2 for $40. That's hell of a deal. It was 2 for $35. You sent them full. Dude, that's awesome. I just got some artwork done. I should have put it in a slide by a guy called Scap Art over on Instagram. He does sigils for a lot of the Mandalorian mercs and a lot of the Star Wars cosplayers. And I went ahead and ordered another sigil from him, my jackalope, that will be going on my actual Mandalorian armor kit and on some of my figures. He charged me $40 for the piece. I gave him 50. I always tip my artists. I considered it just like a tattoo artist because, you know, he spent a lot of time working on really cool art. He is somebody who makes artwork for really talented people. And when really talented people seek out other talented people, that is something that I pay attention to. And so when I got the opportunity to get some artwork done by him and then followed up and got another piece, I tipped him both times. I made sure. He said, thank you. Tip your artists. Yeah. Swamp skier parts. Awesome. Yeah, that thing looks like a grasshopper and it could be pretty badass. I'm excited to see what you're doing. Creative people get in your own way. It doesn't last long. Yeah, I'm not sure why I let it get in my own way. But now it's just quite literally, I will watch a video or a YouTube tutorial or something and be like, yeah, I could do that. Now, I have built a lot of skills over the years. I built a lot of skills over the years as far as like metalworking, woodworking, and things like that. But like learning to sculpt and stuff, one day I just stopped being afraid of sculpting. I think you guys watched a live where I did that, where I had green stuff. And I was just like, well, gonna go ahead and use this green stuff because I can use green stuff, I guess. And I did. I sculpted my face on an action figure. I'm gonna go ahead and pin that. Oh man, for half a second too, I thought that said when autistic people seek out other autistic people. And I was like, all right, but autistic people, yes. Oh man, I appreciate that so much. You guys had no idea how much, you know, this means to me when you guys show up and we do these chats. I appreciate it. But back to me rambling on about myself. You know, I worked in metal, I've worked in wood. I understand those things, but as far as like sculpting goes, it had been ages since I had sculpted anything. And like when I used to do custom figures, I was using epoxy stick, like from the hardware store, like steel stick and stuff. So it wasn't a case of, you know, using green stuff, which is like finicky and you got to know your way around it and all this, or like even toy makers wax or anything like that. I just sat down and did it and came up with an awesome looking facial sculpt for myself. And I was like, I guess I can do this now. So now I just have this stupid sense of audacity where I'm like, anytime I sit down, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Or, yep, I could totally do that. And like I said, hasn't hurt me so far. Just makes me feel a little big for my britches from time to time. And I'm sure there will be days when I get knocked down, but I'll get up again. They're never going to keep me down. Yeah, I gently bully Anthony into doing his art stuff and telling him that he's good because he's good at it and he does cool things. Merrymakers and Then Some by those guys. Really good album. It's basically an entire album about sailors and being seafaring and hating the king of England. And it's set in I think it's set in the 17 or 1800s. And it's really good music. So Chumbawamba, Merrymakers, and Then Some. Force is strong in you. But I'm not a Jedi yet. I do, just like everybody out there, and I'm sure there's a couple of people that are like, oh, not me, and that's cool. Just like a lot of us makers, I suffer from imposter syndrome. It happens. Yeah. It happens. I get imposter syndrome, and then I remember like, hey, I can do some really cool stuff, and I have done really cool stuff in the past. It's like when I was writing and I was being published. I'm still writing, by the way. It's not just when I was writing, but when I first started writing, there we are. I will speak like this from now on. When I first started writing, even though I was being published, and I was being published in multiple books, I would say 2020 was a landmark year as far as publishing went for me. I think I was published in 6 collections, plus my own works, plus my own short story collection. So I still have trouble calling myself a writer because I'm not writing every day. But I learned from, one of my dear friends, Jamie Sheffield. He just recently passed away. That man will forever have been the best mentor that a writer could have, that you don't need to do something every day in order to you don't have to do something every day to be that thing, right? You can be a writer and not sit down and write every day. You can be an artist and not sit down and make art every day. It's okay to have time when you're not doing those things, but you are still that. And so sometimes I struggle to call myself an artist, but I am. I make art and I sit down and I, create things. Sometimes I call myself a maker, which always feels a little more accurate, but I tend to use that for like when I'm developing things that aren't necessarily artwork related. But imposter syndrome can be a real bitch, but I fight my way through it. I try and do my best. Hey, that's a great way to look at it. That's a great way to look at it. Ailstorm. I've listened to some Ailstorm. The album is called Merrymakers and Then Some, and that's a different one by Chumbawamba, if my brain is still working correctly. But you know what I mean? Like, as far as the writing thing goes, I am a writer. I write when I create lore. I consider that writing. I do write it down. I am working on my novel. I am working on the pocketbook for World Makers and world building that will hopefully be out before summer. I want to have it done before Joe Fest. Excuse me. I want to have it done before some of the things that are happening this summer, but it is, I'm gathering quotes from people. I'm gathering photos. One of my patron photos that I posted was actually a very early first look of how some of the images inside the book are going to be broken down for you guys, explaining how to world build, that doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg, how to get started and how easy it can be. Yeah. I'm looking at the end of May. My birthday is in the middle of May, so I do want to just carve out that week to not do anything. We're going to go see Electric Callboy in New York City. Kenny got tickets for that for my birthday. Still can't believe that because their tickets sell out instantaneously because they rarely tour the States, and it's in Brooklyn, New York, and it's on a rooftop at a concert venue, an outdoor show on my birthday in Brooklyn, New York City, skyline visible with Electric Callboy. Like, I still can't get over that. Cowman, you being silly boy. Leave your brother and mom alone yelling at him like that. But I want to have the book done and available for people. If I can make it to Joe Fest, I will obviously bring some with me. But if not, I just want it available for people to, have that weekend. And if you don't think I'm going to abuse the Joe Fest hashtag to promote that thing while it's out that week, you got another thing coming. And by abuse, I mean utilize the traffic that it's generating. Because it's, people do world building with G.I. Joes. Just not me. Mine's usually spacey stuff. Science fiction. So, when I do my dark primer, by the way, let's give you guys a little bit of a painting tip here. When I do my dark primer, I get everywhere that I can, every single crevasse, crack, and point. I get in there with a brush and, excuse me. Sir, he's laying in the same spot that you lay down in. He's probably like 3 inches from you where you normally lay down. Chill out. Meg calls you an artist. Well, you are an artist. Whether you call yourself one or not, that's 2 entirely different things. But you do. You write, you paint, you sculpt, like, you know, it's quite rare, and you know, and I say rare in the term that it means, of somebody who sculpts action figures like you do and gets the same results that you get, that articulates their own figures and gets that level of detail that you obtain. So G.I. Joe went to space. He did. Too sweet. Famine Maniacs tonight. We're gonna put a pin in that. We'll workshop that one. I don't know if I like the Hulk Hogan implications of that one, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. No. I can't do that one. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the. In my head, I just pictured myself dressed as Hollywood Hogan, with the WMC, WMC shirt. Oh Christ, he broke me. Oh dear Lord. Hey man, I calls them as I sees them, and you're a really talented artist, and you, like I said, you do things that not a lot of people get those same results, and it is a rarity. And yeah, there you go. I'll stop being gushy about you. Kind of like Faminites, but that also has like slightly religious implications. But also my own cult. Oh, that guy, he's a follower of Famine there. Yeah, I seen him. He wears the shirt with the bunny rabbit with the horns, the deer horns there. The jack-o'-lantern rabbit there. That's what he wears it as. That's a winner. Order of the Jackalope. Ooh. That's a good one. Feminions. Ooh. I'm leaning towards that one. I do like the Order of, you know, the whole Secret Society-esque version of it. What I'm gonna need to do is, if you guys do call yourselves Minions, yellow body paint, ridiculous glasses, jumpsuit, gotta look like, or overalls, gotta look like the Minions from the TV show. I don't make the rules. I mean, I do make the rules, so yeah, that's. But yeah, it's and I saw that 375. You said the plastic surgeon. There was somebody who I used to see their work on Jedi Defender, and I believe Rebel Scum, that was their handle, was the plastic surgeon, because that's obviously, you know, the pun. You know, you take your toys apart, you kit bash them, do surgery on them, and that was quite a long time ago. If that was you, kudos, wow. We've in passing known each other for a very long time then. And I was Famine on Jedi Defender and Rebel Scum and Yakface. Still am on Yakface. I just don't ever post there because forums are weird for me now. It's like going back in time, and I get really nostalgic and then leave and don't visit those same sites for years. Corp mech suit figures. Yes, I have. Are you talking about the big mechs, or are there mech suited figures that I'm unaware of? Yes, we could steal the moon. Moon's haunted. Dude on IG that calls himself that. Yeah, might be the same guy. I know there was a couple of, like, as far as Star Warsy names go, there was a couple of people who called themselves Boba Fetish, you know, or Django Fetish, because they were, you know, Mandalorian fans, and it's very clever. But yeah, I was Famine. I've been Famine online for longer than some of my viewers have probably been alive. I know we've got a couple of folks here that are 18 to 19 that tune in on occasion. And I have been known as Famine for quite the goddamn while. So much so that I'm getting my name legally changed to that. One of many reasons. But that's a big one, is that more people will see me in public and call me Famine than they call me my government name. Sid from Toy Story. Wasn't you? Okay. Sid from Toy Story. Which is crazy because, like, that kid was a weird little customizer. And we hated him for no reason. But also, play nice. See, Anthony, I'm telling you, it's the lore. People love the lore. Sid was an evil toy scourge. Yeah, all right. So he was an evil toy scourge in the sense that, yes, he was blowing up his figures with like fucking TNT and stuff like that. Absolutely. But as far as like him making his own, you know, critters and monsters and things like that, we've all been there. That's what we kind of do. See, he gets it. But also, Sid was that kid that like ties firecrackers to his G.I. Joes and stuff and blows them up. Not really a fan of that. It's the pet I love. He didn't know the toys were sure, but like he was literally like blowing up things. You know, I don't know, man. I grew up when 9/11 happened, so people blowing things up people blowing things up have been a weird part for me. I remember the Oklahoma City bombing, the original bombing that happened at the World Trade Center. I got a weird thing about things getting blown up that don't need to be blown up. Combat Carl in the Toy Story universe. Oh, the G.I. Joes? Yeah. Carl Weathers was the voice of them in the Toy Story universe, if my memory is correct. Rest in peace. And as you guys will see, you'll see me turning this thing around and upside down and stuff because I'm seeing like spots that I missed. And I'm just pressing my brush down in there. I may later, when this is done, when I do washes, I may like do a super wet black wash just to get it down in all the cracks and stuff. But when I build these things, I try and think of where the paintbrush is going to go as I put them together. That's bananas. I don't want to get too trauma dumpy or anything like that on anybody, but I remember that's the first like major news story that I remember watching other grown-ups get nervous about. If that makes sense. And I happened to be home from school that day. I can't remember if it was a Sunday or not, but I feel like I was supposed to be in school that day and I wasn't, and I stayed home. And I remember like it was on the television and just that's where the TV stayed locked for the entire day. And yeah, that was a very scary thing, watching grown-ups get nervous about like that happening. And then, you know, hearing about all the awful stuff that was tied to it and all that. So and I certainly hope Grandpa Jorgensen was okay. Yeah, so many New Yorkers I know were supposed to be at the Trade Center on 9/11 or be right near there for job interviews or things, because that's, you know, that's Wall Street area, that's business, that's where a lot of people went to work every day, trains in, from all over the United States, from the tri-state area and things like that. So it's spooky, but also very fortunate that a lot of people that I knew, maybe didn't make it to work that day or whatever. But also, I had a couple of students in my school who I knew casually who lost parents on 9/11 because of that. So it's wild to see, you hear the stories of like, oh, I was supposed to go, I was supposed to be in there for a job interview, but the interview got pushed up 2 days because the person, who was doing the interviews overbooked themselves, or like just shit like that. And you hear it, it's like, holy Christ, like you got lucky. But in more positive news, in more positive stuff, I am making sure that I get into all these cracks and grooves that are in here on these Jason Jensen pieces that I kit bashed onto this, because when I do my primer and my dry brushing, those dark recesses will be covered. You won't have the brown the wood that's brown there, and it'll help everything look more cohesive and photograph a lot better. Look at that. Yeah, hell yeah. One of the things that I'm working on getting that the Patreon is contributing to is a secondary camera that I can use for either overhead shots or over the shoulder shots. Leaning towards over the shoulder shots while I paint, because I'm like a golem, right? Back in 93, right? Damn. Jesus. Our science teacher, I'm going to go ahead and use his name because I'm not besmirching anything. This dude was, he's all over the news. Our science teacher, Mr. Poe, he was a weird cat. There was a attempted murder at our school back in the early 90s where another teacher came to school and poisoned a bunch of holiday candy and sent a whole bunch of people to the hospital that were teachers and staff. And this guy was one of them. So ever since then, from what I'm told, he's kind of been, but he was our science teacher. In 2001, when on September 11th, when the terror attack happened, we were in his class. So they locked us down in there for the longest time. And he was watching his ex-wife, who he had a kid with, worked in the second tower. And as anybody who was around at that time, remember when people started to try and make phone calls, all the lines were busy, the entire country, everybody was on the phone, everyone was trying to call. He was trying to get through to her when the first tower fell, and he didn't believe me. He was on the phone trying to get through to her, and I'm like, Mr. Poe, the tower just fell. And he's like, no, it didn't. And a couple other students are like, yeah. And he's like, bullshit. And he came out and looked, and they were replaying it after, because it was just white. All the cameras were whited out from all the dust. And he was like, holy shit. And then finally told us that his ex-wife, his daughter's mom, worked in the building. Fortunately, she had a stomach bug that day, missed the train, and called out of work. And I couldn't imagine, like, number one, I couldn't imagine having a kid with somebody, because I don't want children, but like, even if you were divorced or whatever and fighting, like, I couldn't imagine the parent of your kid being at that place and you not knowing if you're going to have to go home and tell your kid, like, hey, mommy's never going to be coming home, or we don't know if mommy's, like, I couldn't imagine the fear. And then to watch that building fall and still not know if she was okay. And then just the fucking relief, pardon my French, of hearing like her voice on the phone and knowing that she didn't die. Now, fast forward a few years, and the entire school was on lockdown, and the police were called, and he was arrested because he got into a fight with her, broke into her house, cut all the electrical appliance cords at the back of the devices, and then went and hid out in a camp and laid underneath the floor for 3 days while there was a statewide manhunt for him. But That's why I don't care about using his name. His name's fucking everywhere. Sorry. It's not funny, but nobody was hurt, so it's funny a little bit. I feel like I can laugh. Yeah. He was a crazy cat. I remember my uncle almost fist fought him in New York State Museum. Almost got into a fist fight with my science teacher. I'm like, Uncle Dale, I have to go to school. He's here with his daughter. You can't just beat somebody up. My freshman year of school, full disclosure, my freshman year of high school was the first time I had not been living in an abusive home. My grandparents rescued me out of a terrible situation. Here's some more famine lore for you. Rescued me out of a terrible situation where I was being abused at my mother and stepfather's house. So my grandparents got custody of me, took me in, kept me safe. But this was my first year out of there. I was acting out and finally, out from underneath the umbrella of constant fear and stress. And I slacked off in science. So my teacher called home, but he had so many people to call. Mr. Poe did. He had so many parents to call. He kept getting them confused and accidentally called my grandmother by somebody else's name when my grandmother was trying to hey, I think you got the wrong person. I guess he got snippy with her. Well, she told me and my uncle. And then while we were at the State Museum, it didn't even click with me. It was on a holiday weekend. I saw him with his daughter and I just remarked offhand oh, there's that teacher, Graham. And my Uncle Dale got so mad because he was rude to my grandmother and, was rude about me because he didn't recognize who he was talking to on the phone for my grandmother. My uncle was fixing to go punch him. I'm like, dude, you can't. He's from the South, and sometimes down south they just solve things with their fists, and everybody goes home and put some ice on it, moves on. I'm like, you can't just go beat up my teacher with his daughter there. Fucking weird. But yeah, he then got the old go to jail card for doing the crazy ex-boyfriend, ex-husband thing where he goes and destroys all the electronic appliances in her house and then goes and hides under the floor in his cabin for 3 days while the state troopers are waiting outside hoping to catch him. Yeah, all of the news. Good stuff. And Task Force, the second angle makes me nervous because if I'm showing that, I don't know if you guys will like what you see. And I don't want you to see my bald spot. Also, if you are tuning in for the first time or you're watching the replay, if you're not subscribed already, please do feel free to hit that subscribe button. Maybe throw this video a like. That always helps. Hate saying it, but I watch the analytics of this platform, and when you tell people to like a video, they like the video. The amount of likes at that time frame actually goes up, and the same with subscribe. If you remind people to subscribe, they tend to. Bjorn, that sounds fucking terrible, man. Yeah, that sounds horrible. We had a motorcyclist who met an unfortunate end right in front of our school. It's the reason why there's traffic light there. It took them 4 or 5 accidents to finally put a traffic light there. But they then proceeded to send us to class in the classrooms that were facing the highway. And after the coroner came and they removed what they could of the gentleman who unfortunately met his untimely demise on the pavement, they didn't think they put up the curtain around, you know what I mean? Like the hospital curtain on the road to work, but we were 2 stories up and could see, and we watched them pressure wash this dude off the ground. And yeah, they had to bring in therapists for everybody at school for that. That's bananas, man. No, thank you. This is the diorama checkpoint / pathway that we've been working on all the live streams. I think the last time we had hands on this was the cryptids and crafts video, where I was talking about Mothman. There is a new cryptids and crafts coming up this Friday because there is no World Makers Consortium this week. So it's going to start at 10 p.m. It's going to be a late night stream. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about Bigfoot. We're going to wonder if Bigfoot is is it a great North American ape that we haven't discovered? Is it a multi-dimensional traveler? Is it a guy in a Wookiee costume? We're going to talk all sorts of theories and Sasquatch lore. I'm speaking with a friend who is native. I'm going to ask about some of their cultural beliefs about Sasquatch. I know that the actual word is not Sasquatch, and I need to get the correct pronunciation about that. And anything that they are willing to share with me, I will absolutely pass along to you guys, because I want to bring these. When I do these, I want to be as thorough and kind to groups of people who these stories have great weight in. And I know that there's a lot of Native American communities that put great stock in the tales of what could be Bigfoot or something else. And I want to make sure that I get it right. So that's one of the things that I've been doing this week, and asking the right questions, I hope. And I'm very excited for it. And it's one of those where it's like, I can do a refresher on it before I go live, and I'm going to have a blast doing it, just like Mothman, because I've spent so many years learning about it and trying to find out. So that's going to be if we get real heavy for a second, which we tend to do here on this channel, but also I'm always a big proponent of mental health and talking about things and not just bottling everything up. My grandparents are a very big reason why I am still here today. And yes, there are a lot of people in the creative space that, that have suffered trauma or bad households or whatever. And there's a lot of that, even people who aren't in the creative space, because apparently our parents and their parents before just could not fathom parenting without violence, without being mean, because that's what they were raised on, and it's not okay. And I'm glad that a lot more people in our generations, Gen X and millennials, and now hopefully Gen Alpha or whatever these kids are called. Listen to me, I sound old. But thank goodness we're all kind of like, yeah, no, this is bullshit. You don't treat human beings like this, especially your kids. We're not doing that. So kudos to us. But yeah, there is a lot of that in the creative space, and I think that it tends to contribute to people's creativity. It's no secret that my father was absentee when I was a child. He was locked up for 25 years. I actually think I speak about that in a couple of my way old vlog posts. And, my grandparents were always there for me, even when, people tried to block them out. Like my stepdad got a restraining order on them so that I couldn't see them, just as like punishment, because they saw what was happening and didn't think it was okay. And they were always there for me. They always helped me and kept that light on that there were people out there that loved me and things could be okay. And so I am forever grateful of that. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Breaking the cycles. And that's one big thing, is like, that's number one. That's why one of the many reasons I don't want children is I don't want them. Like, you could have them if you really want. It's not for me. But like, I don't want to caretake for a little person, especially in this world. Like, this world kind of is tough and rough, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. And the more that I watch the news, I'm so glad that I don't have children. My heart aches for my nephews and nieces and my friends with young kids, because I'm sure, like, I'm sure I'd be a good parent. I've been told my entire life I'd make a great dad. I am amazing with kids, which I am. Even though I tell them all the time I don't like them and wish that they would go somewhere else. I don't actually say that to the kids loud. But I just I don't want children. I don't need to bring another life into this world to feel fulfilled. I don't need to caretake somebody so that I have somebody to take care of me. That's one of the biggest pieces of bullshit that I ever hear when somebody says, well, who's going to take care of you when you're older? Bro, two things. One, this planet's on fire. This winter, I have had 70-degree days. I'm growing old. What is that? Number two, your goal in life should not be, I'm going to generate this person, spend 18 years raising them, send them out into the world, tell them to create their own life, and then come to the end and expect someone that I did that for to come back and pay it in kind while they are raising a child and generating them, generating somebody to take care of them. Like, I have a partner, like, take care of each other. When things get tough, you get tough, you build community. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people do anymore, is they don't build community. My grandmother is still around on mom's side. My grandpa passed away 8 years ago. And my grandmother on dad's side passed away before I was born, if not right around when I was born. And my grandpa is still alive. He currently lives in New Jersey and not here in New York, so I don't get to see him nearly as often as either of us would like. But he was absent out of my life for a while again, kind of due to my dad not being around and then not knowing where I am because my mom took steps to make sure that nobody knew where we were. But yeah. And I am currently taking care of my grandmother. My mother knows that she's on her own. My mother and I don't speak. She is not a good person. She is what you guys would call the C word that we're talking about in the chat. Doesn't take care of herself, relies on everybody else, will not take responsibility for any of her actions or any of the things that happened to me as a child or happened, under her watch and under her care. And for that, she can pound sand. She's a cactus. That's cool. Yeah, that's a different form of grooming. Yeah, absolutely. Expecting, raising somebody with the premise that they do something for you in the future or, whenever you ask. That is absolutely. And that's why I hate when people are like, well, who's going to take care of you when you're old? Like, number one, respectfully, I probably won't make it that far. Number two, even if I do, it's called, either community or setting yourself up to be taken care of, to, have things in place. Like, your children don't owe you a servant at the end of your life. They don't owe you somebody to take care of you. You chose to have kids. The kids didn't choose to be had. Choose to be had. Grandpa Jorgensen is still kicking as well. Grandpa and grandma on dad's side. Oh, very cool. I do think I am very fortunate to have spent this much time with my grandparents and get to know them. And also, like, I was one of those fortunate kids who got to know his great grandparents before they passed, except on dad's side again. I would have absolutely loved to have met my great grandmother on dad's side. She was a African American lady who had a kid with a very prominent white person down south, and it was a big scandal. And from all accounts, from everybody that knew her and talked about her, she was the sweetest woman on the planet, and she's beautiful. All the pictures of her when she was younger, she's absolutely stunning. Could have been a model, just absolutely a beautiful woman, wonderful. Raised my grandfather as best she could, especially given the circumstances and, being in the South. Um, but just I would have absolutely loved to have met her, and I'm sure we would have gotten along thick as thieves. But on my mother's side, I got to know my great grandmother and great grandfather before my great grandpa passed, and then my great grandmother. She was alive until I was 2004. Feel like a keel over or whatever your job you're at. Yeah, right. Which is why I'm trying to make art a thing and writing a thing. I'd rather keel over at home than in a factory somewhere. Fun fact, Dad's original last name, Jukowski. Polish? Jukowski. Polish or Russian? Probably Polish, though. I feel like that's a Polish name. But yeah, I was very fortunate to have met my great-grandparents on mom's side, and they were rad immigrants. Their parents came over from Czechoslovakia in the 30s to get away from the impending war and things that were happening. They came to America, to Johnstown, New York, to set up a life. In Johnstown, there's a very high Slovak community there, and it was basically built on Slovak immigrants. My great-grandfather was able to open a meat market, a butcher shop, and have his own store. It's the American dream, right? They came over from nothing and, moved with family and managed to get a house and managed to have their own business and have children and, live in America and be free of tyranny and, certain death and war. Finnish and Swedish. Okay. Let's see here. Now I am doing the bricks first because I want to get as much black paint on as I can with the brush into all the different areas. So when I go over the tops of the bricks, I don't have to worry about those cracks being filled in. So I'm kind of just like using my brush to, for lack of a better word, mash it into place. Mash this black paint into the gaps. And again, since this thing's upside down, I'm using that as an opportunity to like look for the ridges and stuff that I normally wouldn't be able to hit. And I'm trying to be, gentle with the bottom because it is still kit bashed pieces of wood and stuff. My family is from Czechoslovakia. That's where they came from here to the States, and the rest of them came over by way of Ireland. My genetics actually show that we are more Scottish than Irish, but I will tell you this, my grandfather on Dad's side changed his name to sound more Italian because he worked in New York City and New Jersey, and, that was the way to do it. And then when I started doing the family tree and the family history, I found a lot of Irish folk there. So he can pretend that we're Italian all he wants, but buddy, we're a Irish soda bread family and not a spaghetti family. Firstborn in the U.S. and the family from Ireland escaped the potato famine. The terrorism from the British government. Absolutely. That's still one of my biggest pet peeves is that it is world known. It is world known now. It is a fact in history books, in documented records, that the English were the cause of the famine. It's proven it was planned. They did it intentionally. And there are still news articles like, remember the Irish potato famine? Here are 3 things that led, and it's like, no, that's not, no. Oh, that's cool. Kenny did the ancestry kits for me and Graham for Christmas a couple of years ago, and we both did them, and we get, updates and whatnot. It's very fascinating to see where we've come from, who is in our family tree, how it breaks down, where people are from, who is related to who, like people's names and how their names changed, what their careers were, like finding pieces of advertisements from like small family businesses from 100 years ago now. 100 years. Damn, that's crazy. That's cool. I love hearing it. Again, it's the, like I said, my family, they got to come here from what was essentially going to turn into a third world country because of war and, all those lovely things that come along with fascism, and come to the United States and live the American dream and be free, have a home, have a family, raise a family, start over. And, and you hear about things like that, like people having a farm that's been in the family of immigrants for generations upon generations. And like, that's the American dream. That's not available to a lot of us now, unfortunately, myself included. If my grandparents hadn't been kind enough to leave me this home, I probably would never get a house. That's just the reality of this world that we live in now. And I am every day so thankful. You just one line down the middle. But I think it's super cool that, like, despite that fact not being that opportunity no longer being available to me, barring, suddenly me finding $1 billion laying on the ground, that my family was able to come here, escape that, and be successful, have a life, and not have so much of that fear. I know during the Second World War, I remember talking, and like there was still a fear because they were from a European country. People, didn't speak to immigrants during that time, especially after Pearl Harbor, be them Japanese or no. There was a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment, but they still managed to somehow, again, with their community that they built, take care of each other and be taken care of. They had their community grocery store that my great-grandfather ran, butcher. They had their own community that they set up to help each other. And I think that's really freaking neat. And that's one of those things why I always try and build community. And that's why I'm doing this with the artwork, is that I want this to be a place where we can all come together, support each other, buy each other's artwork, buy each other's products, trade, swap, teach each other skills. That's my contribution so far, is skill, things that I've learned that I'm not going to gatekeep and I'm going to share and pass it along. Is it going to, put a roof over our heads? Maybe not for most of us, but maybe some of us. Maybe somebody will get real lucky and, using something I learned, you'll be able to go on and make, some type of sculpture or painting that'll sell and people will want, and you'll succeed, and that's freaking cool. Or you'll get some entertainment out of it, and it'll make your day a little better, make your, evening a little brighter. Still don't speak to immigrants. Bitty people. I always try and talk to anybody I meet that are from a different country, speak a different language, white, black, brown, whatever. I will absolutely try and speak to them, try and talk, at least understand and make it known that I'm not an asshole, because I still believe in America being a melting pot. I still believe what the Statue of Liberty says, on her plaque: give us your tired, your poor, your hungry, your huddled masses. I am not a America first asshole who's like, if you're not from here, get out of here. That's no, that's not how this country was fucking made, right? That's not how we do things here, or at least that's not how we used to do things here. And I'll be goddamned if I'm to be the jerk off that says you need to go somewhere else because you're different. Guess what? We were made literally from immigrants. We came here, we took land, we set up shop. We won we won the American Revolution because we relied on immigrants, because we had help from the French, because we had people from all over willing to work together to stand for this. And I'm never going to be an asshole to somebody that's not from here just because they're not from here and struggle to speak our language or haven't learned it yet. I haven't gone out and learned fucking, Spanish despite my tries. I'm not going to be mad at somebody who's from Mexico or Spain that doesn't speak English. It's not their job to learn my language. That's true. Bjorn was on TV. Like learning things, EVA is a game changer. Yeah, EVA is like EVA foam is one of those cosplay staples that crosses over to this type of stuff, and it's really helpful. Let's see. We are bald white men, and we do need to make sure we're not lumped into the right ring. Right wing. Fun story. My best buddy Derek, his mother had rented a house in Virginia Beach, and her best friend Mary was a doctor, Ukrainian woman, lovely, lovely, lovely human being. I genuinely miss her every day. She was wonderful. She was very much just no bullshit, would say whatever was on her mind. His mother rents this vacation home. They invite me out because it's a family thing, and I'm family, which I will always love forever. I get out there. I walk in, bald head, beard. Mary goes, "He's just bald. He's not a Nazi." The first thing she said to everybody else that was there to let them know that I was cool. And I'll never forget that. Oh, man. What a woman she was. She was a fucking character. Oh, God. So you're not bald yet. I'm catch as a saw. But I've noticed a lot of toy people a lot of dudes in the toy community are bald guys with beards. So, it's like, especially for me, I'm two things. I'm a big dude, right? Big dude, tattoos. Like, I'm not all completely tatted up, but tattoos enough. One tattoo is enough to make some people still nervous. Number two, long beard, big bushy beard, bald head. That goes to looking like a lot of what people perceive from the 70s and 80s of the bad guys. So, have to tread lightly with that. Let's see. Small part Cherokee, not claiming it for fun, trace your ancestry through the Trail of Tears. I'm sorry. I mean, it's good that you can trace your ancestry. The Trail of Tears is fucking terrible. And yeah, again, fucking absolutely terrible. Long, luxurious hair. Most of your hair is on your chest. Yeah, same here. I look like, Chewbacca's pelt is laying on my shirt, laying on me. Man, I got the Freebird electric trimmer, and I freaking love that thing. I've saved so much money already on razors. This isn't a sales pitch or anything. I don't have like a code or whatever. But I love that thing. I finally stopped fighting with my hair. I could have done all the things with the serums and stuff, but I find this to be easier. It's a good look for me. It's quick. It's easy. And it literally takes the commercials are all like 90 seconds. It does. It takes 90 seconds to cut your hair. That's it. My hair is good. I'm good to go. I usually do it right before the show, but I was telling Anthony earlier, I took a nap. So I didn't get a chance to, but I'm just going to pin that for the rest of the show. But yeah, the bald works for me, and the clippers work, and because I've got a bald, really thinning spot up here, and then my widow's peak, which I could find. There's a picture I've got on my old Facebook from my MySpace days where I just had the most dark, luscious, gorgeous hair. I still had a little bit of a widow's peak, but like my hairline was down to here. It was great. And then I started getting the hairline from Vegeta. Thanks, Bjorn. I had, Vegeta's hairline, but my hair was still super dark. And then it just started to keep going back, like it was running away from my eyebrows, and it was getting thin in the front. Like there's actually a bald spot right here compared to where the front of my hairline is. I just got tired of fighting with it. And I said to myself, like, I can keep lying and, say that I'm going to do something and be frustrated with it, or I can just shave it and rock it and be happy with it. And that's where I'm at now. And I got that Freebird shaver, and does the job. Like I said, I usually run it right before the shows, but I took a nap with that lady right there, with that Mama Rosie dog. You had a big day today. You went to the veterinarians, huh? Yeah. You went to the vet's office and they looked at your eye and they said you was healthy other than the cyst on your eye, and you were a beautiful, gorgeous girl who got a whole bunch of turkey. We went to Jersey Mike's to get salads for lunch, me and Kenny. We had Rosie in the car. So when I was inside getting the food ready, let me tilt this down a little bit here for you guys. Let's pretend like you're watching me paint. And while the guy was getting the food ready, I said, "Hey man, can I get like a slice of turkey just on the side? Got a little dog out in the car. She just went to the vet's today, and I want to give her a treat." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You want to take it out to her right now?" I said, "No, you could just, throw it on the side or whatever in one of those little cups, and I'll take it out to her when I bring the food out." He's like, "Okay, I got you." I get to the register, and this dude had given her a 1/4 pound of turkey in one of those plastic cups, just like packed it full of turkey slices. So when we were having our lunch in the car, she got slice of turkey here and there each time, and it was super, super cute, and she had a good time. Yeah, man. Get out of there. Stop trying to steal those. Hey, thanks for stopping in, my friend. If you do come back to watch the remaining end of the stream, much appreciated. No, I'm actually going to use my I'm going to continue to use my government name as my pen name. Due to the success of my book that's out there, and I say success, let's not be absolutely crazy. I'm not swimming in money, but I've got plenty of good reviews, and I've been published in so many different publications under my original government name. I'll still use that as a pen name, but my government paperwork will all say Famine Halatic on it, which is will be my government name. Halatic is my family's name that came from Czechoslovakia. The rough translation from Czechoslovakian, because it's like now the language is weird. There's Slovak and Czech split apart. But it basically means builder, wood builder. People, yeah, it's so how I got famine. Here's some more of the lovely famine lore. I think I've told this on a couple of podcasts and streams. Short version is, back when I was an admin on JP Toys, as we were young kids, we would fool around and, like change our handles and be goofy and like assume characters and whatnot. And one day we were all like, hey, let's, kind of like take this place over like the NWO. Like, we'll be the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And my buddy Andy, was telling us about it. And then one guy's like, oh, I'll be this and I'll be that and I'll be famine. And Andy's like, no, Kevin's got to be famine. Spoiler alert, Kevin was my government name. And why is that? And he's like, well, he's a big guy. And I thought it was hilarious because it's like famine. I ate everything. It made perfect sense to me. I still think it is. So I adopted that as my online name, and it stuck. And then when I started doing my volunteer work through Zombie Squad, because my handle was Famine, everybody who met, we always used our online names. I was Famine. Through the years, through toy websites, Jedi Defender. When I went to Celebration 3, I wore my name tag was Famine. All my cosplay was Famine. So many people know me as Famine more so than they actually know my government name. And both of my parents are terrible, trashy people, and I want less and less to do with them. And the fact that they chose my name for me and I didn't get a say in it doesn't sit right with me, especially with the bad choices that they made and how awful they were. So I am doing that neat thing that I can do as a grown-up where I can change my name if I want to. And so I'm going through the process and getting some things lined up to take care of that and get my name changed. Yeah, that is true. I know Bjorn's government name. It's Bjorn Jorgensen Steinville Smith Thington the third. Sorry, Bjorn. There you go, Dave. You got to hear the origin story of my fancy new name. And by new, I mean, name. But, yeah, I've been, so Andy started calling me Famine, and that was a name given to me by a friend that I love, and, dude's family to me. I was the best man in his wedding. And, yeah, I'm obviously going to continue to use Famine, and again, so many people know me by that name. They do not use my government name. They call me Famine, and I love that. That actually feels like me. That feels like my name and not, something that was given to me by other people that I don't like. Yeah. Winchester, Tinville, Smith, Steenberg. And then he finds the town under that name. I'm just getting in here, starting on the pillars. Yeah, it was Mr. Deeds. Absolutely was. It was Will's mom from Stranger Things. Oh my God, I am completely blanking. And I have a crush on her too. This is the worst. Winona Ryder. That should not have taken me that long. But yes, Winona Ryder and Mr. Deeds. And yeah, that was one of the funniest bits in that whole thing when he finds the town. You got to be shitting me. Ryder, I hardly know her. That was a bad joke. Don't know. Probably, if it does have lights, I want to get one of those Playmobil light towers and just kit bash the light rig to sit up here to point down. I've really coveted those Playmobil light towers for a long time for my Jurassic setup, and I just realized how good they could look in Star Wars as well. Yeah, lights are the enemy for a lot of this world building stuff, man. I've learned against that audacity. It's like I've learned more and more how the electric, works and how to do lighting and stuff, and I could probably do it. But man, the tedium of wiring something on your own and making it work in the scale and having to power it and hook it up to things and all that stuff, Jesus Christ. They have, and it's not like model railroading, which is where I, started to learn about the mini lights and stuff because my grandpa eventually wanted on his train set, which is where I kind of got into building small stuff. That was my first exposure to it. That was actually when I started airbrushing, was when my grandpa was doing his trains. And by him doing the trains, it was me because he couldn't see a damn thing because diabetes takes your eyes. And, learning all the wiring and stuff and the soldering and whatnot. I believe he actually bought me the soldering iron that's downstairs in the train room that I've held on to for some time for this reason. But I don't want to do that. Sounds hard. Yeah. I'll build the shit out of something all day, but man, you sit me down, you're like, hey, wire this up with lights, and I'm like, resistors, and then there's capacitors, and then there's, paths you got to follow, positive and negative leads, and you got to connect the wires and make sure that the resistor's set up for that load, and there's math involved, and my balls start to itch because there's too much math involved. Like, ah. Yeah. And that's the thing is I like using those lights with the battery packs, but also like, goddamn, I hate burning through batteries, even if they're rechargeable. It's like one day, maybe if I sit down and like completely nail down how I want my layout to be and I go back in and I like rewire everything, maybe I'll consider putting, lights through stuff. I know when I do my Jurassic build, I will, because there's going to be electricity running through the fences to light up the tops of each fence. So that's going to have to be a more solid, it's going to have to be a more solid defined layout because of the fences. Starting to get that back wall painted up in the pillar, but that's a down the road project. That's for later famine to deal with. But I do want to have, like I said, I do want to have lights at the tops of each of the fence posts, like in the movie. I know that you can program Arduinos to make like different things happen, so I want to have the lights kick on, the alarms go off at certain points, the meh from the movie when Tim was, about to get electrocuted on the fence because the power came back on. Automated shit like that, I think, is neat. And the fact that you can do that automation at home is really cool. And I'm sure my Audacity will kick in one day and I'll just sit down and do it. But until then, I don't want to. Boy, I do love Fig Newtons, but this sticker is dangerous and inconvenient. Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's the powering them that annoys and struggles with me right now. And you guys will see, especially when I start to dry brush this, is I put some big deep cracks and grooves in there and really get the black paint in. So when I do washes and stuff, and there's little bits of like browns and yellows and greens that are in there, that black will still make a solid line for it to show the shadow, and then it's a crack there. That's a nice little tip that you guys can use. That's actually a prop making tip, is to get the other colors in over the black and not rely on the black to be the only weathering in the crack, but it also helps just create that depth that you're looking for. And also, if you're making props and you ever get the chance to see real Hollywood props, they are atrocious looking. They're garish. Poor Tim. They look garish because they are painted to be photographed by film and digital cameras, and the camera lens picks up color differently. Prime example, I'm looking at the screen. On screen, this is very matte black and almost one solid deep color. In person, I've got the reflection of light on here. I can see streaks and stuff, but the camera that I'm seeing on the screen, which you guys are watching the feed, looks nice and dark and flat and beautiful, but whereas I'm looking at it and I can see a lot of the imperfections and stuff, again, this would show up perfectly fine on camera. Maybe not one of those HD ones where all the lighting is perfect and everything, but like for moving picture, a lot of props were painted so garishly and so like overly weathered and stuff because the camera will only pick up certain gradients. And I learned that when I saw, looking at film props up close. I know some people with props from bigger budget movies. I also have some props from certain movies and films, and they are painted up pretty garish. They're not the super high detailed like model work that you would expect for a film prop, even if it's not a hero prop, or even if it is a hero prop, because it's painted for the camera. It's painted to be picked up by that lens. So a little bit of interest there, and that's why you put those other colors so that the camera picks it up and it's more natural looking, because black is not a naturally occurring color, but the black helps on film and on camera because it helps create the illusion of shadows and depth And then when you put the other colors like browns, yellows, and greens on top of it for mold and grime and all this stuff, helps it pop. So there is a little bit of useful, hopefully useful to you, bit of technical information on why film props look like trash and why you should paint things weirdly and not be afraid to add colors to things that are supposed to be stone and, you know, deep shadows and ravines and parts and stuff and weathering. That's why I'll do like a black wash on some things, but I also will, you know, also make sure to go over it with a brown wash and all the other different colors, because while a black wash is great to get those panel lines and stuff, if you're doing anything natural, you have to remember that black is not a naturally occurring color, especially in stone. Even if you look at obsidian, it's not black. So you want to utilize that black to create shadow effects, and then also utilize that black to allow your other colors of weathering to stand out. Which is why today this all got coated, got all painted up. Strawberry sniff nose. Yeah, Woodland Scenics actually has a miniature wargaming line now, and that you can get at Michael's. I think it's Michael's has the displays, and maybe Joann's, but they are called, oh Christ, what's it called? Damn, War something. But they have a lot of their stuff that's, you know, people were using for model trains for basing their dioramas and stuff is now in those types of lines with a little bit, you know, less coarse and more coarse stones and stuff. Like, they went out of their way to at least acknowledge that the community was using that stuff. And yeah, they have, you know, pre-built light kits and things like that that you can get. So that's super cool. And I am painting the back of this because while I don't think it'll ever be modular, in the off chance that I need to move this or, you know, get out of the way, I just want the back. Or you're either a smart fellow or a fart smeller. Maybe a little both. 375 rates. You got the Woodland Scenic thing, but you no idea what you're going to do with it. Hopefully light something. Yeah, no thing, no duh, fam. Good job. Well, you know, that's what I'm here for. I'm glad we're almost done putting down this primer because I want to start blocking in some color before I call it a night. Nice. I think everybody should light things the way they want them lit. And if they think it's going to be something that gets noticed, or they don't think it's going to be noticed, they want it to, they could use their lights. I just think lights are neat. Yeah. And the Stones, like the Rolling Stones too. No colors anymore. I genuinely thought about doing, I thought about taking this outside and spraying it to prime it and giving it a zenithal highlight, but then I remembered the area in which gimmick that this is going to be in the docks is maybe not necessarily receiving sunlight in the same way that other areas would be. So I didn't want to create that expectation and then have to do every building with a zenithal highlight. So I didn't. So I was like, all right, whatever, we'll brush it on. He gets it. Because they're shiny. Yeah, there's a lot of like electronics and Mando kits these days and stuff, but it's like, yeah, you kind of gotta be in the dark for a lot of them to really pop. I mean, I'm all for it, but it's like, goddamn, imagine spending that kind of money on an electronics kit, and then you get to a convention and they've got every light on and tri-state area shining. It's like, yeah, your kit's not going to light up. I do appreciate the cosplay contests that actually dim the lights for performers when they get up on stage to show off their costume, especially that they have lights and smoke and stuff now. A lot of costumes are really elaborate and things like that, and they're way more accommodating for those types of setups. Oh yeah, so bright on convention floors. Absolutely. I've seen some really cool Mando jetpacks where they've rigged up the smoke machines and the lights and the burners, so when the smoke machine kicks on, it looks like the burner is starting to flame. I think that's freaking phenomenal. But I know I'd have to save that for like stage, because around here we have a lot of cosplayers who have health issues, and respiratory issues are still a very big thing now. And, they'd start coughing and gagging and all that fun stuff. So, have to be for the stage. Probably. I'd be interested to see how. I know people have done it for Junkrat from... Oh, Christ, what game is that? One of the games, there's a character called Junkrat, and they've run, basically miniature foggers through the hair so that the wisps of the hair smoke like they've just been blown up, because I guess that's what Junkrat does, is blow things up. He's Trash's boyfriend. Overwatch. Okay. There we go. When I did my Ghost Rider cosplay, I just used EVA foam and made a flame collar around the back of my head so it looked almost like the comic book effect. Because at the time I was extremely new to the hobby. And number two, I just could not fathom, at the time I didn't know how, like attaching things to a latex mask. There's actual steps that you have to take. But I feel like now I would probably do a flame effect out of a transparent latex foam, run LEDs into that. And if I were to include a fog machine in it, I would wire those through the foam flame effects to wisp out of there. But Ghost Rider generally doesn't have a lot of smoke pouring off of him, so it would probably have to be like a effect where the flames lit up, got brighter, and then as they cooled down, the smoke would wisp off. Yeah. Like I said, I would use some foam. There's transparent and light. There's foam specifically designed to diffuse lighting for cosplay. I'm sure it had a previous use before cosplayers got a hold of it and companies started utilizing it for that. But it exists out there, and I would use that and paint it in light layers of flame color. Kind of like when people do the polyfill fireballs and stuff for wargaming and dioramas, where they make like explosions out of it. I would blast it with different colors to make it look like flame. And then, like I said, I would put the lights up underneath it and then probably run the tube that produces the smoke and have it produce flame, and then as it cools down, a couple of wisps of smoke would come out. That's how I would do it now. That's the plan. Again, it's up in the air. A lot going on, and I'm just trying to convince myself to make it happen. But again, I'm saving up for a van, good, reliable vehicle, and I want to be able to take care of that because I need to get around. But when I do that and I have this vehicle, I'll be able to get a better picture of if I'm going to get out to Joe Fest. But I certainly would like to get out there, even if I don't go to the convention for both days, even if I came out for one day and then got to hang with folks, like I'd love to do that. Say hello, meet everybody, shoot a little content in the convention, harass Dom and Joe, put a kick me sign on Bjorn, that type of stuff. Wear a t-shirt that says best hair at Joe Fest. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's not a knock on Bjorn. If I go, I'm just doing the, I'll probably do my van because that's the whole point of me getting the van is to have it for travel and like remote trips and camping. It's something I've always wanted to do is have that so I didn't have to, do the hotel thing, but much appreciated, man. Who knows? Maybe a raccoon will break into my van and try and eat me in my sleep. I'll be like, Bjorn, I'm scared. Let me in. But with my treaty with the raccoons, that shouldn't happen. We have a solid agreement in place. Oh, y'all didn't know I had a treaty with the raccoons? Yeah, don't act surprised. I am a legend. I am a legend in the raccoon community. They know me by my beard. I'm the kind one that helps. You don't want to share your bed? Yeah, I like them, but not that much. Trust me, I've done my fair share of hotel floor crashing and couch crashing and all that shit at conventions and things like that, man. And like, ostensibly, it would probably be cheaper for me to fly out, but I, again, getting a vehicle to do long trips because I like the travel. So who knows? Who knows? But I will keep that in mind, and I do appreciate you letting me know that that's an option. You're a swell guy, Bjorn. I don't care what Toy Domination says about you. Hey, have a good night. Enjoy your food. Aw, everybody nice. Look at you guys. They're all so nice. Aw. Fuck out. Make sure you hit like on your way out, my friend, if you haven't already. I appreciate it. You know, if I got a bigger brush, this would probably go a lot quicker. That's something for future famine to think about. Nice. That's cool that he's got family going. I mean, bummer for the not bunking thing, but you get what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm saying, Bjorn. You get what I'm saying. Well, goddamn, we may not get color on this tonight. Who knows? We're working. We're getting things done here. And if you're doing something like this at home, working on yours, you don't have to be like Famine. You can make this as complicated or as not complicated as you want to. When I did the Mod Podge, like I said, I could have done the black paint mixed with Mod Podge just so I could have that nice base layer all sealed and verified, but I didn't want to do that at the time. I don't know what stopped me from it. I just didn't want to do it. I remember distinctly thinking to myself, yeah, I'm just going to use regular Mod Podge. So I did. So again, you could totally be skipping this step because it would be considered primed, but I'm not, and that's where we're at. And it is Bigfoot weekend. Hey man, I have a box of chip brushes somewhere, and I was actually looking for it the other day. I just can't find it. And I don't want to go spend $6 to buy a new one because then I'll find the other one and then I'll have 2 boxes of chip brushes laying around. But yeah, you're just gonna have to deal with it. It's goddamn free entertainment right now. And it is Bigfoot weekend. Yes, that is true. Bigfoot video stream. Excuse me, not video. Bigfoot stream Friday, 10 p.m. Like I said, there's no toy domination. No World Makers Consortium. There we go. Had to spit out the words. No World Makers Consortium this Friday, so it will just be Famine running solo, doing his Cryptids and Crafting stream. I hope to see you all there. Bring your adult beverages and your spooky dispositions as we talk about the Bigfoot, the great ape of the North American countryside. Big socks. That's absolutely right. It's a good thing he didn't leave dick prints all over the woods, or else we'd be like, oh, there's Big Dick. Sasscock. Here he comes. Making his way through the forest. Big socks, Justin. Big socks. And, I was thinking to myself, damn, this is relating back to something I said earlier, because I like to do that. I was thinking to myself today, I was like, damn, where did, how did I just recently blow through all this black paint? I feel like, this was a lot of black paint to go through. I did, prime a lot of new spaces in Gimmick with black, but then I remembered I also, did this guy, the water tank, I did the pipes, that we're doing over there. So suddenly things started to make a little bit more sense as to why I ran out of black paint. Like I'm not eating it. At least I don't think I'm eating it. Who knows what I do in my sleep. Wake up with all black teeth, black all over my face. Looks like I just came from, emo night somewhere. I don't understand where all my lactate's going. Well, famine, you're consuming it with your mouth hole. So maybe stop. All right. We're going to let that sit for a couple minutes here. I'm just hitting a couple of places I see where my brush glanced off. And we'll start blocking in at least the top layer of colors, top 4. Yep, see? This is why we rotate and check. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend eating lead paint. I mean, you do you. I'm not your boss. I just don't want you to, die of lead poisoning. Seems like a terrible way to go. I don't plan on dying, so I wouldn't know. But I'm sure somebody will tell you what that's like. Okay. So we got that on there. And there is a patron only, there's already a patron only vlog up. I've been posting patron only behind the scenes stuff just for those that are curious about the Patreon things, what you guys get access to. And then on the 15th of this month, the digital and physical tiers, which will go out, which are agnostic signs, so they're sci-fi signs, but it's not like, Rebels or Mandalorians or Jedi Temple this way or anything like that. They are, in various alien languages, sure, but they are more like world building signs that you would put up, like parking space things, restaurant locations, alleyways, things like that. Feet pics, again, like I said, they cost extra. You got to PayPal me money ahead of time, then we discuss terms. But there's stuff up there. Bjorn said there's no feet pics for anybody that was concerned that there would be pictures of my feet. So yeah, let's put down a satin. I can hear Snowflake meowing outside the door. She's like, Father, I would like to go to sleep. We'll put down a satin granite on the panels on the top. What's a story I've wanted to tell but haven't had a chance to bring up? Man, I don't know, because I don't ever shut up. I just talk all the time. Great question. I don't know. That's a fantastic question. I don't have an answer for that story that I wanted to tell, but just never brought it up. Never had the opportunity. I don't know. Fantastic inquiry, though. Damn. That's a good one. See, I can't tell. Thank you. Yeah, I love this tattoo. It was done to me by my friend Jim Squires. Jim's passed away. So it's always going to have that extra special place. I've talked about Jim before. Jim was the first artist who let me hang and made me feel like I was one of the artists. I was a member of the art community. I was one of the guys. And I'll never, he believed in me. He always encouraged me to do stuff. He taught me all the tips and stuff that he could, invited me into his studio, into his home. He was a real one. And yeah, he did that tattoo for me. Kenny was a Blood Honey Sin. She worked at Think Geek, and I was a geek that shopped there. I unashamedly / a little ashamedly would go in there on days when I was at the mall in hopes that she would be working. So I literally at one point had a pile of shit that I just kept buying things whenever I was in there, so I didn't seem like a fucking weirdo loser that was going in there just looking for this super cute girl that I liked, even though I was a fucking weirdo going in there and doing that. But yeah, no, that's how we met. And then she had done photography for one of their cosplay nights when I broke out my Darth Vader, and I talked to her about doing a photo shoot for our Firefly stuff. And when we did our big Firefly shoot, I remember looking at her eyes, and it felt like the entire world stopped for like 1,000 years, and like 1 second of just us catching each other's eyes. And just from there, I was like, yeah, I need to see if this girl let me, would do me the honors to stoop so low as to go out with me. And yeah, the rest is history from there. This is the way. Plus, she had just fantastic boobs. Still does. Just saying. Throwing that out there, too. But her eyes, man. Still to this day. I just get lost in them. That was... We'd been together for 6 years, so let's call it 7, because it was a while before I had the stones and the gumption to ask her out. And yeah. I'm wondering if she's in chat right now. I know sometimes she just tunes in and leaves it playing for me for the watch time. But if she is, and maybe she heard the super sweet story that I sullied by then, mentioning her boobs, but that's me. But she's genuinely the best person that's happened to me in my life, and there would not be a Famine Studios channel without her. For one, she definitely encouraged me to start my vlog that this channel was originally. You can go back and watch those vlogs. They're corny and cheesy, but I think everybody, when they start this YouTube thing and you're just trying stuff out and trying to figure it up, figure out what's going on. Popped in and keep the conversation going. Hey, appreciate it, man. Have a good one. Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, she was wonderful, and also she was a talented photographer that was interested in nerdy sci-fi stuff and doing the cosplay photography thing with an eye for photography and not just a way to make quick money at conventions and get $100 for somebody for some basic ass flash photography photos. Thank you. But she, she had the vision that, we were looking for, and she helped us make our little photo shoot come to life, and people loved it. And I will always, 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 always cherish that memory of the photo shoot with my friends and that day, and just good stuff. Get lost in either. But yeah, she's pretty rocking, and she keeps me honest and gives me shit when I need to have shit given to me. But also, she's like not malicious about it, which is great, because I've had partners that were just like mean when they were trying to tell you something for the sake of being mean. Like, damn, who hurt you? No, she's great, and she's the nicest person to animals I've ever met in my entire life. And that's one of the big things that I judge people on, is how they treat animals and how they treat things that are smaller than them. And I don't mean like, oh, they treat animals like, oh, if they eat meat or whatever, like that's its whole own discussion. But like, I mean, like if somebody sees a dog or a kitten and, is rude to it or just doesn't seem to care, and, what kind of empathy they have towards animals. I'm sorry to hear that she's not thrilled about your hobbies. I mean, it's one thing I know that some people's spouses don't understand their significant other's hobbies or whatever, but she's a pop collector and collects other things, so she absolutely gets it, and she's never once given me a hard time about it. The only thing that she's ever said is just like, make sure my bills are paid before, and make sure I get good deals on things. And I've always been very thankful for that, because I have had partners who hated this, and there was a point where I was getting ready to get rid of my stuff, because my partner was trying to convince me that I shouldn't have it, and it's a bad hobby and I should grow out of it, and blah 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 blah. And if I'd still been with that person, there wouldn't be this, there wouldn't be the art, I wouldn't be happy. So yeah. Got a husky, 6-year shelf life. Well, before I met her, every relationship that I had, every time it ended, once it ended, the person that I was with found their forever person, their new spouse. Yeah, like good luck, Chuck, was not a joke to me. Like that was genuinely like happening in my life. So the fact that I got her and she's so special and we're together, and I just think it's neat. And congratulations on 16 years, my friend. That is really awesome. See, all right, so real quick here. Look at this paint. I kind of wanted these to be metal plates, but they almost look like marble. I feel like I could drag white lines through there and then blend them out and make that look like marble plates and just call it. Potentially. That dry brushing came out very well accidentally. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to let that dry because I want to see how it looks once it's dry. It is also a satin paint, which I don't usually use, but I had that dark granite satin, and I've used that for like tarmac, putting it in tarmac paint, and it adds just a little bit of something. I'm going to set that satin aside. Let's see. We'll do some of these bricks here on the floor. We'll do the floor bricks. I think those are going to be I guess we'll start with terracotta, and then no, I don't want to do terracotta. I want to do that dark granite, and I want to do brown. we'll do those medium gray, and then I'll hit them with some white and some colored washes. So I got my palette here. It's a little dollar store plate that I grabbed one day. And the paint peels right off of it every time, so I like using it. Okay. This is going to be hard for me to show you guys, but I'll work on it. I don't know how I'm going to paint like this, but we're going to do it. No, we're not. Yes, we are. So. Yeah, my last serious relationship was someone who had a child and did that for 3 years, and that was just after the fact. Everything really affirmed for me that I did not want children. Multiple things, like, you know, I do miss that guy, that little guy, but also the dynamics of being a stepdad or whatever I would have been, however it would have gone. There's so much complexities in raising a child, and when it's somebody else's kid that you aren't the parent of, there's a whole nother person involved in things and decisions that are being made and stuff like that, and it just was too complex for me, and I didn't want anything to do with it. And when we split up, it was one of those things where it's like, I'll never get to see that dude again. You know, I have seen him. He has since grown up and, you know, gotten older and stuff. But, like, you know, we don't chat or anything like that. But he was a, you know, important person in my life for 3 years. He was the little guy that I was helping raise and help keep safe and keep an eye on when his mom had to go do things and stuff like that. And that was gone. And that was just another eye-opener of, like, yeah, I don't need to have this part of my life. I don't need to have the child or, you know, have a kid or whatever. Like, it's just not for me. Try brushing this gray on here. Yeah, no babies here, and I've got the old snippety snoo done now, so that's really firms that up. And yeah, so now we've got dry brushed gray on those bricks. I'm gonna let that dry up, and then I'll hit those with some white. Those are different bricks, more like a tile, I think, the way I laid those out. But we'll see. I actually think I can use some of this gray on this brush here. I know I'm like, oh, I'm not going to fuss with it, but, you know, here I go. It's just hit some of the edges on these plates. Get that snowflake hair off of there. Hell yeah. Just a little bit of more detail on there. No, those were individually laid tiles. Every stone and tile on here was all laid by hand because I apparently hate myself. I will apparently spend copious amounts of time doing tedium for the art. And I think that's one of those things that makes you an artist, that you're just mad enough to do something like that. At least I am mad enough to do something like that. I don't want to speak for other creatives and artists that are, you know, want to get it done as fast as possible. And trust me, there are things that I will certainly take a shortcut on if I can, but this is not one of them. This is just one of those things where I fuse right into the tedium. Yeah. If you can make a template, that's easy for you to utilize, right? And create those pieces, laying a sidewalk, cakewalk, absolute cakewalk. But I literally laid these bricks in first here, the wall bricks, and then was like, oh, I'm gonna fill this in. So I had to cut each one individually and lay it in like a freaky little weird mason. So we got those blocked in here. Let's start blocking in terracotta on these bricks up here. Hey, Lego jiggle work, man. So I will running out of terracotta too. Eat my balls. Fortunately, I have all the correct colors to mix terracotta. But for this, I'm going to use a dry brush. Use this one. And this is going to be a slow build up on this terracotta because I don't want to overload it because there's going to be so many washes and so many coatings over top of it. But yeah, so I guess I'll just place this right here so you guys can see a little bit better. Let me get Red's comment off screen. Nope. Could do that. There we go. And I do see a couple of spots where the black paint is still wet because I really slopped it in there. So I'll have to go back over this at one point with a little more terracotta. But like I said, this is just the first pass, blocking some colors in, which makes when I make these things a lot easier. And it makes when I start adding different layers of colors and washes on and stuff, it helps it pop, helps it seem more significant and intentional, but also go look at a brick wall, even a brand spanking new brick wall. No two bricks are ever going to have the same amount of saturation of color. If they were painted that way and they're not real brick. Let's see, I'll get across the top here. That's too much paint on there. We get across the top. Nice. And there we go. Starting to get some colors. Starting to get some differentiation. That doesn't sound like a word. Probably is, but it doesn't sound like one. Differentiation. Is that a word, guys? Differentiation. Differentials? Hey, tonight on Famine Studios, Famine stumbles over traditionally common and easy words, trying to use them to sound smarter. More at 11. Cool. So now, It's starting to look like a little bit of something here. But it's got that old feel, which is what I want. And let's see here. Clean this brush off. Make sure I clean that later. Let's see. Yeah, buddy, you're not wrong. I mean, I've always had where I'm like, is that a word? Is that a word? Hey, nothing wrong with that. Bouncing around on collections and stuff. It just shows that your tastes change, you know? And also, anybody curious, the Patreon is patreon.com/FamineStudios262. The railing, we will do... Let's do a silver of some sort. Plate metal. Do I want to do plate metal? Gunmetal. Going to be using Army Painter War Paints gunmetal. The botanical Lego, like the botanical Lego, like where you can like put together the trees and shit like that. Bonsai tree and stuff. Yeah, I think that's just their way of getting us used to the idea that trees are going to be made out of plastic in the future. It's my little conspiracy theory for that. Okay. So like I said, I'm just going to put gold. Sorry, somebody messaged me about something they were painting gold. Gunmetal on here, and then when I do the washes and the weathering, the rust and stuff, that'll obviously change that up. But it's a good base layer, and it's good to help break up the setup. Dude, they're finding microplastics in brand new fucking babies. They're finding microplastics in their blood, in breast milk. We're, you know, we're fucking trashing this planet, man. I hate even saying it because the idea of people suffering bothers me, but like we've done this. We allowed this to happen, and we deserve a lot of the shit that is the fallout from this. It's just a shame that, you know, this will happen. It'll be all over the news. And has anybody gone and like alleviated a factory that's dumping out these plastic bits into our waterways? Has anybody, you know, accosted a politician publicly and in a very harsh and cruel way to get them to do something about it? No. And I'm guilty of it too. I haven't done anything, but it's you know, we just continue to go, oh, okay, that's a thing that happens now, and we just move on with our lives because, yeah, good stuff. Yeah, like straight up, they were testing tissue from the amniotic fluids and things like that are there after birth. That's the phrase I was looking for. The afterbirth, and there are microplastics in it. There are microplastics in breast milk from feeding mothers like that. No, should not be that way. And yet here we are. And again, like I said, nobody's, you know, throwing rocks through CEOs' windows or hitting them with their moving machines that replaced horses back in the fucking 20s. Trying not to, trip off any of the things that usually come and shut these channels down and shut down the streams. But you get what I'm saying. None of us are doing anything about it because that's just the way it is. And we've all, over the past years, we've all just accepted that it's all horrible. And what are we going to do? But these people will get all bent out of shape over a fucking shot to help prevent other people from getting sick. They'll make up a conspiracy theory about that, but they won't look at the obvious full facts right in front of them. Something that's horrible, that we've essentially poisoned the planet to the point where we can't even eat things without getting plastic in our bodies, and it's just living in there. But no, let's come up with fake conspiracy theories about dumb shits. They have a mobility aid or a hearing or visual aid. They do if you tie them to a brick. Bonus points if you deliver it directly to the person that you're trying to get it to. I think, what was it, number 45 said you can't throw one of those. Can't throw one of those, but a can of soup. Maybe use a can of soup instead. You can really put some power behind that. Thoughts and prayers for hearing. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I say weird shit like that all the time. But they're like brand new, fresh out of the box. Yeah, cochlear implants are amazing. Cochlear. And I hope that more people with hearing needs get access to those to just make their life easier. Okay, so we're getting a bar painted there. Gotta make sure I set my alarm for work tomorrow. Oh, she's won both sides and neither worked. Here's too far scar tissue. And now I presume they were able to do something for her to help her get them working correctly, if that's my understanding. And so I'm sure you already do, but if you don't, there are subtitles available for these streams after they go up. And also, I have been working on making sure that I put subtitles on every one of my videos that comes forward, be it a short or it is a upload, just because I know sometimes people will watch things with their phone volume off, and number two, there are plenty of people out there who need a little bit of assistance to hear or to see what's being said, and I don't always enunciate my words with my mouth the way that I should, so lip reading can sometimes be difficult, and I've got this big bushy fucking ridiculous mustache and beard combo going on here, so I try and make it a little bit more accessible and a little bit more inclusive of people with their hearing or retention issues when it comes to that. So if your kid ever gets interested in customizing, I have videos there where there's actually something in place to help them get the information. And I usually do them in funny colors too. Again, I don't know what I'm doing with this. This is, and I don't even know where I am right now. This is my first day on the job. That's awesome. I have a pretty basic understanding of ASL as far as I know the entire alphabet. I know basic phrases. I can communicate passively with someone who is hearing impaired or verbally impaired and uses ASL to communicate. I wish that they would teach it in schools. I think that is a brilliant resource that could help across the planet, because a lot of places, even that are non-English speaking, utilize ASL for communication for auditory impaired, auditory people that can't hear or have trouble hearing. But I think that's awesome that like you said, it's part of life, but doesn't seem to have stopped them. And also, that's fucking super cool that they're in the arts. Give her a fucking big old thumbs up from Famine, and tell her to keep kicking ass. Right, so we're starting to get things blocked in. I think I'm going to call it here for tonight. I think we're in a good spot. Ugh. I think we're in a good spot to where I can set this aside. We'll let this do a little bit more drying. Yeah, thank you guys for being here tonight. This was a long one, and we discussed a lot of heavy topics, and we got some cool stuff done. We got primer on this. Now we can set this over here in the land that Famine has been working on. And, set that right there for the time being. Put Mr. Alan Grant right there with it. Give you a sense of scale. But I do want to show you guys. Whatever I just ran over. One space. We'll do it this way. One space dog. Two space dog. Three space dog. Four space dog. Five space dog. Six space dogs. So one of these streams we're gonna have to do. One of these streams we're gonna have to customize some of these puppers. Yeah, I'm excited though. I love these guys. They're freaking great. They're very well articulated. These figures are on clearance with the Tuscans for like $8 now at Target. So go and scoop them up while you can. But yeah, got a whole pack of space dogs. And if anybody doesn't want your space dogs, hit me up. I will certainly probably purchase them from you, because I love the idea of just a pack of space dogs. And yeah, those are fun. Oof. Of course. Oh, the Sasquatch show will be upbeat, I'm sure. No worries, and I will likely do that. 35 for 1 sec. Brother. Yeah, run to Target and pick up some of the cheaper ones. You've got yours. Yours is in the box. I made sure that there was a Tuscan in there. You'll probably get another one of these anyway, because I've got like 5 Tuscan priestesses now. Yeah, I used to have the other one that came with the Tuscan Raider back in the episode 2 line. Where it is, I don't know. But that being said, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Patreon is scrolling across the bottom. Once again, I do want to thank my damn patrons. You guys are, like I said, you guys help me do these things. You help me do them more often. You're helping make improvements for the channel. Bjorn was my first patron, playing with my 375, Lord Thane, Task Force Wombat. There is a free tier over there. Like I said, go ahead and sign up, follow it there. I post updates that maybe don't show up on Instagram or you don't see on YouTube. If you guys want, you can donate one time on Ko-Fi. That's a thing. And I also, when that happens, I make sure I give these guys and the kitty cats some TREATSs. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. If you're new here and you've tuned in for this long, I appreciate it. Genuinely appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys for watching and coming out. Like I said, Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern. We are doing cryptids and crafting. We got Bigfoot coming, baby, and this is going to be a fun one. So yeah, everybody, you have a great night. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. And buy Dom's book. Link is down below. Go to Aegis' shop. Load up on these creepy little slime guys. How much is gone? Go over to my TeePublic TeePublic. Man, my brain just doesn't want to work tonight. TeePublic shop, magnets, shirts. We got everything over there. Go check it out. Support people in the community. If you guys are new here and you see some people in the chat talking about their world building, go check them out on Instagram. Go check them out on YouTube. Subscribe to the channels. Otherwise, be well. Take care, you guys. And what's that? What do we got going on here? Too sweet me.